Hello everybody and welcome into another Heroes Land video. This time we're taking on Enbilulu, the Crustalord. This is going to be a fun one. We have the Wind Force is going to be our main bow because of the weakness to ice. We're also going to use the Kiss of Death, which is going to help keep us alive and mobile. Also going to keep us in the bounds. You'll see what I mean by that. We also have Anunnaki's Grasp, which is going to help us keep a little bit of speed and just some consistent damage out there. We've taken him out a few times, and we're going to continue and show you how it's done. We are in the Dark Grove. Doesn't matter if you're in the deep or the outer or whatever. You'll have the Crustalord. We're going to head down to this one. Now, the reason that you have the Kiss of Death is to be able to stay within the bubbles that are going to spawn around him. Sometimes you're going to get knocked backwards, and when you get knocked backwards, that's going to impact... or you can get stuck out there, and if you get stuck out there too long, or if you get knocked too far back, he's going to reset his health, which is going to be very frustrating for you, and you're going to get very upset about that if that happens. So let's try not to let that happen. He's right there. We're going to look at our build out here really quick. We have the Tiamat's Heart. We have the full Tiamat build here, just to get that extra damage and the shield immunity, which could help us out here. We also have the Traveler's Boots sitting right here. We might potentially switch to those in the middle to get some heal in the moment when we're chasing the bubbles around. You'll see that happen as well. We also have a little bit of extra pet stuff down here. Nothing is needed. You can really take him out with a lot of, with lower stuff. But we're going to be on our mount here just to kind of show you guys his setup here. So he has two different attacks. Well, three different attacks, technically. He will suck you in or push you out right at the beginning here, right? And that there's no rhyme or reason which one he's going to do. And then he'll either hit around him or he'll hit further around him, but there'll be a gap in the middle of him. So that's what I mean there. You see how he was on the outside and he hit me. Doesn't do a whole ton of damage, but you can see that it does damage over time. And it stops your healing a little bit. So that could be devastating. So you want to stay mobile and you want to stay about halfway in between so that you can either make it away from him or jump closer to him. Now the Kiss of Death is here because we can hold the Kiss of Death when he gets into this position. If we have to jump towards him, then we can jump towards him. So we can really prevent, if we want to just sit here and do it really slowly, we can just sit here with the Kiss of Death. And you see there, he was towards him, and then we just jump in there for him, right? Another way that you can avoid the damage, if you don't think you're going to get there in time, obviously that one wasn't difficult, right? He didn't even blow forward or back. If you don't think you can get there in time, then you can turn on your Gadgeteer ability. That is why we are the Gadgeteer, because if I don't think that I'm going to get into position, I can jump to him and we'll take a big hit of damage, but it won't matter as much because when you are the Gadgeteer, you have a different health bar. Your health isn't going to be hit by that. And now, right about now, the bubbles are going to come out. Now, the bubbles are, in my opinion, one of the most annoying things that this game has. It's kind of like a little raid boss mechanic, if you will. It's nice to be the Gadgeteer because the Gadgeteer doesn't get hit by all these other bubbles. And that's what I was meaning right there. You can get bumped out and get screwed up. The red bubble doesn't knock you around when you're the Gadgeteer, so that can be helpful. Now, this is what I was talking about. I'm going to switch to the Traveler's Boots because none of my... I'm also going to lower this so that I have less damage taken. None of my lifesteal stuff is going to work because you can't actually do damage in this mode. So if you're focused on that to keep you alive, it can be kind of troublesome. Now in this mode, the Crustalord, the first version, you can hit these things if you let them hit you while you're not moving, they'll sit. And then you can just bump them, and hopefully you can bump into the right direction. Now, in the harder versions of this doesn't work, and they'll always just bounce off at you. And I like to be this guy because, like I was saying, it just lets you take damage without having to worry about it. So you can let it sit there. So it makes this part a little bit easier, but be warned that that does not work in the harder difficulty, which we will show you guys that in a little bit. So you just have to get these blue balls you have to touch them, turn them dark blue. All right, now we're back in it. So we're gonna switch back to our normal setup. We're gonna go back to him being bigger because we want the speed. All right, we get careful. Oh, see, he got us there. So now we're in trouble. So now we have to really focus to switch to this and be ready to miss that, because if we don't, we're in trouble. We do still have the Traveler Boots on, so we can still get some heal from that. So not too bad here. The Traveler's Boots are nice, but we're not getting that extra heal, though. Whoa! Almost missed it. Almost missed it. So let's go back to the boots. All right, we're good. So now we have those boots. So you can kind of tell when you're going to make it and when you're not going to make it. We'll have to do the bubbles one more time about when he gets to 10. See there, I had the shield, so I wasn't worried about getting hit. Sometimes he just does that one. He doesn't do he never does the outside ring one just quickly like that, I don't think. The bubble should be coming pretty soon here, so be ready for that. It's about the 10 mark. Now another thing to note the difference on the harder version of this guy is that it starts with the bubbles. So you have to do the bubbles once to start, and then once, they were like invisible there. Or invincible there. You have to do the bubble at least once to start, and then obviously it's about every 10 or 20. I think you end up having to do it 3 times for the next step, and then like 4 times for the next step. There's different difficulties, and we'll check those out in a little bit. But the Gadgeteer helps with the health. This is the easiest setup that we have. It's definitely makes it harder to use this setup than a couple other setups that I have, and we'll show you what I mean in a little bit, because it's kind of hard to heal on this part, and that's what I was talking about, switching back and forth between the boots, because you want to be able to get that heal. So now I'm healing my character underneath while I'm this guy, so it ends up working out really well, and the other setup works out really well that way too, so you'll see how that works. But we just got to get the bubbles to him, and then where it's a swift victory on the Crustalord here. That last 9 shouldn't take too long, but we're going to try to knock that thing back and forth. We should be pretty much full health when we come back here. I wish I could zoom out a little bit more sometimes, right? Oh, is it going to go? See, sometimes you're about to hit it perfectly, and then a purple one comes and hits you, and then you don't get the right bumping angle, and it goes off in the distance. And that's another thing I think I don't like about this, is that just the bumping is so inconsistent. I think that's part of why I don't like it, is that the direction that it goes. That should have hit him. Why didn't that hit him? The direction that it bumps sometimes, I just don't like. One thing, a little trick that I learned, is that if you come over here, it can be easier to guide it left and right, because you don't have to worry about like missing left or right, you know what I mean? Because if he's moving left and right, you could potentially screw it up. Now this is, I'm going to show you how to dodge. You go to this, and if it's outside and you're not going to make it, you switch. So that's just really slow because you're not doing the damage. Because right when he uses that, you have to switch to this, then you have to decide, oh, we have to jump. So then you go back. So it's going to be the safest, but you also might not have this saved up, and you might not be able to use it. So there could be potential where you could get screwed over too. So you don't want to use it every time. You only want to use it sometimes. So right now I have another one saved up. We can switch to it. We got to jump to him. Now we're not taking any damage, right? So if you really, really have low health and you really can't take any damage, this part, it's not too hard to avoid the damage completely. It is kind of hard to avoid the damage completely when you're in the bubble mode. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to switch to this because we should be able to just take him out from here. We don't really care about taking the damage here on this guy. We just can't really take 2 hits at once, or 2 hits in a row too many times, because then he'll hit us and damage us. But it doesn't really matter too much to us because you can see the HP heals there. That was kind of weird. So we take him out. We get some Traveler's Boots, which is nice. And it's that easy. I would say, as far as gear goes, Traveler's Boots is nice to switch to. The Tiamat, Striders and stuff, the Tiamat boost with that shield of immunity every 60 seconds can be nice because if you're in that shield, it'll protect you. We do have some other options to have better builds, but that's the first setup for the most basic setup that you can do that is effective, I think. I think the things that you need are the Wind Force and the Kiss of Death. As far as this goes, you can pretty much do a lot of different options, but this is a good start. The Lightbringer set probably would work. Anunnaki's Grasp, not needed. You could switch that out for, I like putting the sword in there for the extra attack. You could put in something like the Royal Shield for less damage as well. So you do have some options there, but the Anunnaki's nice because it gives you a little bit of extra speed, and that extra speed is going to help you get the bubbles, I think, which is the most annoying part of this fight is the bubbles. The rest of it, not too hard. He's only got 2 attacks. Not too hard to avoid that. But we're going to go ahead and take on the Lakeside Horror, which is the same exact fight There's not much different. There's, you know, some extra bubbles running around. There might be more blue bubbles to take care of. You can't stop the bubbles. If you stop moving on this, the bubbles hit you, then they stay there and then you can hit them. In this one, that doesn't happen. So even if you stop moving and they hit you, they'll still bounce off you a little bit. So you have to be careful with that, because it's just much more difficult to get the bubbles bounced off. It also starts with the bubbles, and it's much more difficult in general, but you'll see that it's not too hard. So while we're heading over, and you have to get over to here, this little guy right here, that's how you get in there. But while we're jumping over there, we're gonna set up our gear to have better gear than we have now. The weapons, I don't think I really want to change. Wind Force is still good. Kiss of Death is still good. Anunnaki's is still good. That doesn't really change. What does change, though, is our armor. We're going to use more advanced sets of armor and more advanced stuff that's just going to give us a better setup than we have now. So first off, we're going to start with the Ancient Coral Plate. That gives us 45% HP boost, and it restores 2% max HP per second when not taking damage. Now, that's important to remember, because that is going to couple with our ability. When we jump into that guy, it doesn't count that we're taking damage. So even if we have 5 health before we jump into that guy, by the time we're out, we're going to be pretty much fully healed 2% at a time with that. So that's going to help a lot. On top of that, I usually throw the Traveler's Boots in there as well, just because it's just an extra set of heal, and the heal is just nice in this one to keep you alive through that bubble phase. Now, for the setup here, the ring, we are going to use the Larva Ring, which you can get from Keblis. We don't have any videos up about that yet, but we will in a bit. But this is a nice one to have. 12% damage gets added to a shield to exceed 25% of your max HP. So it can, if you have the full shield, you can potentially tank pretty much a full hit of damage from him, and it just makes it a lot easier. And then on top of that, we're gonna throw in where is it at? We're gonna throw in the Kraken's Necklace. The reason we're gonna throw in the Kraken's Necklace is that when you summon the tentacles, you have a 5% chance to summon the tentacles. When you summon the tentacles, he just sits there. He doesn't move around, so the tentacles are able to blast him the whole time, and it's just really useful. A lot of damage, helps you with some heal potential, because you don't have to be attacking him. You can just be, you can let the Kraken's Necklace take care of it. And the Gadgeteer's ability counts as basic attacks. So while you're sitting there blasting them, you could potentially spawn a bunch of the Krakens. So this works better to keep you alive, basically, because if you get hit by a couple things, you can basically go into turtle mode with these, open up your gadget guy, and just survive in the gadget while you're healing, and you'll see how that works. Also, the shield is going to help you out, and also Kraken stuff is going to help you out. So we have beaten number 1 and 2 on this before. I don't think I've even tried or I did try number 3. 1 and 2 weren't really any different, but we're going to show you guys the first one here. When you start this up, you actually start with not your full HP. So if you can jump, like for me, I try to jump onto my mount if I can, and heal up with the mount, because my mount is the Rhino. Oh, can't do it. Come on, let me mount. Let me mount. Oh, here we go. Boom. All right, so my mount can actually heal me a little bit. So when you start, you don't get your bonus health, right? And I'm healing because I haven't gotten hit, and that's that Ancestor's Coral thing, right? So now we're full HP. Now we can take on Enbilulu, the Lakeside Horror. And as you can see, the bubbles are already here. The bubbles are already coming, and we're gonna have to throw. Did that miss? Oh, that sucks. But like I was saying, I learned that if you're on the side here, you can potentially lead it into him a little bit easier, because if they do head your way, you can guide them that direction a little bit easier. Another thing to mention, if you notice how you get knocked back by some of these things, especially the red one, and then some of his abilities as well, they knock you around. That knockback can knock you out of these bubbles, and if you're out of these bubbles, he can reset his health, and it can be really devastating if you've already done some damage. That's one of the reasons why you have the Kiss of Death, is because if that does happen, you can jump back in with the Kiss of Death. Now, like I mentioned on the other version of this, I really don't like this ball part. You know me, guys, I usually love balls, but this I do not like. It's difficult to get the angles right. It's kind of boring. It's not really up to me. Like I suppose there's some skill into the bouncing, but like what is the skill? I don't feel like I'm applying any skill to this. It just feels kind of boring. It's so frustrating. And when I am gonna hit him, it doesn't stay blue long enough. I would say that's the way you could potentially fix the issues with this one, is to make it blue longer. That can work to tap it right next to him, but sometimes if you tap it too close to him, it'll just go right through him. Finally, it's just, I hate it. I hate it. I truly, truly hate that. But now, as far as the differences, you can see that there is a red ball following us around this whole time, so keep that in mind. Can potentially impact us. So you really only have to worry about getting in when you get pushed out. So now the bubbles come back, and we have more bubbles. Yay! So you can see it was about 14, so you'll have to do this 3 or 4 more times. Sometimes you get lucky and you can blast a couple right away, though. Did we get those 2, or did we only get 1? I don't actually know how many there are. Is there 4 or 5 in between? Oh, see, that's what I mean. Oh, we got that one. If you can bounce it backwards, sometimes it works, but sometimes it'll hit you. See, I think there's more red ones in this as well, so keep that in mind. We're gonna jump to this just to be careful. Nice, that was a good one. Let's go. Are we getting lucky? We got really good luck on those first 4 or whatever, and now this last one is gonna take us an hour, I bet. I'm trying to just eat those purple ones. Oh, here we go, here we go. Oh, why would it bounce like that? What a terrible bounce. That didn't make any sense at all. I think that's a trouble with being this big guy. It's harder to judge the... Ugh! Damn it. See, it's not zoomed out enough for me to be able to get a good angle on it. Look, and you can't, like, chase it. Boom! Oh, you have to get it real fast on the bounce. Oh, there we go! Hey! Look at that. That was some soccer right there. Oh, look out for that. Alright, we're dropping this guy down. As long as you don't get hit twice in a row, you're probably going to be fine with this setup. Because as long as I can get back to my machine, and you can also have the little speed boost from the... Oh, this is what I was talking about. We got to get back there. See, he can get his health back if you don't get back in there, so that could be scary. We're going to jump to this guy just to make sure we heal, because that scared me right there. That scared me right there. When he breathes in, jump to the kiss of death and jump in if you need to. So you can just, if you really have to prevent that damage, it's not that hard. But with the setup that we have, it doesn't hurt too bad to take damage, because we do have the ability to just basically full heal when we jump into that other guy. So, and because of that heal, you saw that, we had a good amount of shield there. So you notice that we don't really take much actual HP damage because we have a pretty good amount of shield. So you see that? It's about 25% of my health as a shield. And a lot of times we can get in, sometimes we can't. There should be another bubble set right here, yep. Oh, that's what I was talking about. There we go, there we go. Nice, 1 down right away, 2 down right away. Oh, can we get 3 down right away? Oh no, of course it bounces all weird. Oh, I was gonna bounce it back twice. There we go, there we go. Oh, nice! Usually that goes right through him. All right, and one thing to know about the Gadgeteer here, the element of the ability that I'm hitting him with is impacted by the weapon that I have equipped when I turn into him. So I was hitting him with ice there, so it did some pretty good damage. And that is Enbilulu, the Crustalord. We got a mod ore, nice. Mod ore is one of the best things you can get from a boss like this, honestly. A lot of the drops I already have. And none of the drops are too important here. But we can jump over and you can see on the Lakeside Horror that we just beat him for the 5th time. We can get 3 keys if we keep beating them. And that doesn't matter what level you are for the Lakeside Horror. Doesn't matter if it's level 1, 2, or 3. You get the same completion for that. So you want to farm the first one there. That's just fine. Now we don't have to really take on the 2nd version or the 3rd version because it's basically the same. You're not going to really need to change anything. You might have to maybe adjust your build, try out some different stuff. Maybe if you don't want Anunnakis, you could try something else. Maybe you could try the sword that gives you more damage. Maybe you could try something other than the Wind Force. Although I think the Wind Force is really good because that extra speed boost you get from the ability makes it very helpful to get away from his ability. So that's it for Enbilulu. I appreciate you guys checking out the Blackwater Conch with me. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment. Let me know what boss you want to see next. And good luck farming this one, baby. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.